Welcome back to Aunt Debbie's Boutique. Today we're going to make a gift bag for a wine bottle, and it's going to be reversible, lined and reversible, and it is just a nice added touch when you're gifting a bottle of wine to somebody. Now this tutorial will give you the measurements for making the gift bag for a wine bottle, but you can change the size and use a gift bag for any gift that you're giving. Just make it the size you need. It just adds such a nice touch that somebody knows you went to the trouble to make the gift bag, and it also just makes such a pretty wrapping. So this is one that I made for a demonstration, and now we're going to make another one. All you're going to need is 2 pieces of fabric, of your outside fabric and your lining fabric, and because it's reversible, it really doesn't matter which is which. But each piece is 13 inches long and 7.5 inches wide. Then we take and cut out a 2-inch square from each corner. You're also going to need 2 pieces of ribbon. On this one, I used some little stretchy gold twine that I had. This was some ribbon, rope ribbon that I found in with my Christmas wrapping stuff, and it will work just fine. Or you can even make your own. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put right sides together on each of these, and we're going to sew our side seams down each side and our bottom seam. But before we get started, we want to mark 2 inches from the top, because that's where we're going to stop our seam. We're going to use the top 2 inches for the casing and the little ruffle that goes around the top. I kind of like having that little ruffle. And before I get started, I'm going to give them each a good steam iron. Okay, I'm going to take them over to the machine, and I'm going to 1/4 inch stitch down each side and across the bottom on both of these. Now, while I'm at the machine, I'm going to slit this seam right up to the seam, right at the top of it. And then I'm going to turn this under on both sides and stitch it right next to the edge. Now let's go back over to the ironing board. Now I'm going to press my seams open on all 3 sides. Now we want to open this little square corner and place the 2 seams together and pin it. And pin it on this end. And on this end. And we want to do the same thing on the other side and on both sides of the lining piece. And then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine and put a 1/4 inch seam on all 4 corners. Now I'm going to turn the outside fabric right side out, and I'm going to slip it inside the lining fabric, and we're going to line up the top on both sides. Now I'm going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam across each side. Now I'm going to turn it inside out through one of these side holes. And then tuck the lining inside. Let's take it over to the ironing board and give it a good steam press before we put our casing in. Okay, I'm gonna iron my seam where, at the top where we turned it. Make sure it's smooth in here. gonna iron my side seams here. Now, the only thing we have left, I didn't turn that in all the way. The only thing we have left to do is to make our casing and put our drawstrings in there. So we're going to sew a line right down here on both sides. And then we're going to come up about 3/4 of an inch and stitch another one. And I'm going to, instead of marking on my fabric, I'm going to put some tape on my machine as a guide. I have placed 2 pieces of tape on here. It might be a little difficult to see because it's white tape on a off-white machine, but I can see it to stitch on it. And what I'm going to do is line the top of this up with this tape as I stitch so that I'll stitch a straight line. I want to make sure I'm back stitched too. There, I've stitched the line on one side. We want to turn this back and not catch it in our seam. Now I'm going to stitch the same line on the other side. Okay, put that in the wrong place. I moved it the wrong direction. I'm going to stitch now on this line on my machine. Now let's go back over to the sewing table. Now that we have our casing in, I'm just gonna iron it one more time. And then I'm going to feed my 2 pieces of string, they're 30 inches long, through one side and through the other side and tie it at this end. Then the other one I'm gonna start on this end. And pull it all the way through and tie it on this end. This is called a bodkin, and they are real handy for fitting elastic or anything small through a small casing. So I'm going to use this, and that's another reason you need your casing at least about 3/4 of an inch, so this fits through it without any trouble. If you're going to use something like this, you can also use a safety pin. Okay, we have our bag done, and these were taped on the end so they wouldn't fray, but I'm going to take the tape off here in a little bit and let them fray now that they're tied in a knot. And we have our bottle of wine that we're going to gift. We just pull our drawstrings, and then you can tie it in a pretty bow or whatever you want. I think I'm just going to tie it in a knot, a loose one, so they can get it undone. And there is our gift bag. Now, won't that make a nice, lovely gift for Christmas time or New Year's? I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, would you please give it a like and subscribe? I thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Remember, whatever you do, do it to the glory of the Lord.